quizzing has been part of my life for as long as I can remember. It's one of the first things I remember doing with my granddad when I was very small. We would sit and watch our quiz shows together, and he would teach me how to look up facts that I was curious about. So it's always going to be such a huge part of my life. And the chase and Beat the Chasers, it's my dream job. I'm able to put together two things that I completely love. I love television, I love making people happy, and I love quizzes. So why would I want to give that up? The Chase has now been going for 15 years. I hope it goes for another 15 because it's such a wonderful job to have. I am one of the luckiest people on earth. I think my five colleagues would completely agree that we are spoiled rotten to have our dream jobs.
Thanks so much for joining us today to talk all things your new show Out of the Box, and then also presumably happily chat about the Chase as well a little bit, because it's an exciting anniversary coming up, so it's all go. So first question, really, how are you feeling ahead of setting out on your Out of the Box UK tour?
Yeah, it's so exciting to be going out on tour. I never thought I'd be saying that I'm going out on my own tour across the UK. It's daunting though, because this is a whole new proposition. People are so used to seeing me as, very stern vixen, just in one fixed place, sitting up on that platform on the Chase. And actually, getting people to come and spend a couple of hours with Jenny is quite a different thing, and I'm really hoping that people enjoy that experience as much as I've been doing when we've been trying the show out, and we did the show at Edinburgh last year just for a couple of weeks, and it seemed to go very, very well. So sharing it with the whole UK is really exciting, yes, but daunting. Oh, it's going to be fun though. Exploring as well is great.
Yeah, and then what aspects of the tour are you most looking forward to people seeing?
I think the most interesting bit really is the Q&A for me, because I invite the audience to submit whatever questions they've always wanted to know the answer to. Um, and there's always something different in there. It's strange. You'd think that the same ones would be coming up time and again. Maybe I just uh, address the main questions during the storytelling section of my show a bit too thoroughly. So there's always something that sort of takes me a little bit by surprise, or I think that's an amazing question. Um, I enjoyed being asked what my two dream roles in the West End would be. Ooh, that's a fun one. Sometimes they make you go, oh, and you have to pause for a second. And thankfully, I'm not on my own up on the stage. I've got Owen Mallon, he's my musical director. He's on the keys, and he's a great co-host because he's a really good friend of mine. So he'll always charm the audience as well, even if something comes along to stump me, which is quite rare.
It's kind of a different kind of quizzing, isn't it? No longer being asked to call on general knowledge, but your own personal knowledge, which is quite different. How do you find people react to kind of seeing Jenny on stage rather than the Vixen?
I think it must be for quite a lot of people. It's a bit of a paradigm shift to see the vixen, but not the vixen, completely in a different context, being herself. Well, with a little stage persona as well. I think that the day-to-day me who doesn't really like getting out of her pajamas is probably not exactly the same one that gets out on stage and is super confident. I think it's a bit of a shift for all of us. It's such a privilege though to be able to share more of the real me and more of more sides of my personality and what I've got to offer with audiences, and so far being received very warmly. And it's been a lot of fun. And one bit of feedback that I got directly after doing the trial runs of the show was quite a few people were coming along saying, we didn't know what to expect, but we saw your name and we booked anyway. And it was a delight and a surprise. So people are taking a chance with with their whole evening going to spend it with me. And that feels like a real privilege. And hopefully we all enjoy each other's company.
Definitely. I mean, it seems like it's a really fun evening, and I was just wondering, what do you find more, if anything, kind of nerve-wracking? Do you find getting up on stage and doing your show, or is quizzing more of a stressful activity for you? Like which thing, or are they different?
No, they're both quite different. And now I've been quizzing professionally and on the chase for so many years. It's almost completely a second nature now. I go into a different gear and tend not to think about how objectively terrifying it is. Well, if I were to think about it and think, wow, 4 or 5 million people are going to watch me if I make a mistake now, and they're all going to talk about it, and some of them are going to be laughing at me. If I ever thought about that, then it would be impossible to do the job. I actually find this a lot more intimidating and nerve-wracking, although it's hugely rewarding to be out there with a lovely group of a couple of hundred people sharing my evening and be able to make direct eye contact. I've got the privilege of being on TV and not having to look people in the eye. Whereas in the theatre, we're all in that same room together, sharing this one lovely experience over the course of an evening. So it's quite, there's quite intimidating seeing all those faces looking up at me. Um, but the nerves are there to create the energy for me to put the performance on. And the nerves are only there is because I want to have a lovely time and make sure everybody else has a lovely time. And that's the joy of show business. You never know what's going to happen. Something could go wrong. However, we're all there to make the best of it and have a lovely time.
Hmm. And could you ever imagine yourself leaving quizzing to pursue something like performing? I mean, you had that West End question, for example, because people say, I mean, you stunned us all with your voice and the X Factor and things like that. Do you ever think maybe, oh, I'd rather just move away completely from quizzing, or is that something you'd never consider?
Quizzing has been part of my life for as long as I can remember. It's one of the first things I remember doing with my granddad when I was very small. We would sit and watch our quiz shows together, and he would teach me how to look up facts that I was curious about. So it's always going to be such a huge part of my life. And the chase and Beat the Chasers, it's my dream job. I'm able to put together two things that I completely love. I love television. I love making people happy, and I love quizzes. So why would I want to give that up? The Chase has now been going for 15 years. I hope it goes for another 15 because it's such a wonderful job to have. I am one of the luckiest people on earth. I think my 5 colleagues would completely agree that we are spoiled rotten to have our dream jobs.
And then when it comes to that 15th anniversary, next week we've actually got a special episode coming, and there's been quite a lot to tease that it's going to be quite a chaotic, interesting one. What can you say about your involvement? Can you tease anything specifically? What have we got in store for us on that episode?
Well, whilst we don't like to make any huge changes to the format because it's such a mainstay of people's day, we've made a big tweak to this one for just as a one-off. And I'm really intrigued to see how people respond because, we might do it again if people really like it, just an odd couple of times. We did want to kind of turn things on the head and see what happens when yeah, we just change things slightly and keep people guessing.
That sounds amazing. I can't wait to see what you're alluding to. I'm sure everyone at home agrees. And then if you could choose any of your Chase co-stars to join you on your show, who would you choose and why?
It's kind of tricky being asked to choose between my quiz siblings, as it were. But I think my natural choice would be Paul Sinha, the Cinnamon. He would be great on the keys because he plays piano, he can sing, and most importantly, he is hilarious. He is one of the funniest comedians that you would have the luck to see. If he was on at your local comedy club, you turned up and Paul Sinhal's on the bill, you are in for a great night. Um, and I think we could put together a really fun show. I'd leave the jokes to him for sure. But we have such a great time when we're together, and we socialize quite a bit. So if that's any reflection, it would be a great night on stage, and then we'd probably go out dancing afterwards.
That sounds amazing. And I hope maybe a future Edinburgh Fringe show might come from this idea, because it sounds fantastic to me already. And then when it comes to the Chaser's longevity, TV has changed so much over the last 15 years. I mean, we've had the rise of kind of streaming, it's changed drama substantially, but the Chase has always been there and it's still just as successful. Why do you think that is?
I think we are really lucky that we have created this brand and this format that really resonates with so many people. Quizzing is something that most people in the UK enjoy to some extent or another. And I think some of that is because we're all a bit competitive, and we all like to have a little pat on the head when we get something right. And we all like to compete against the people we're in the living room with. But we've everything came together at once. We've got a really fun format, which only gets more exciting the nearer the end of the show it gets. You'll be playing for a lot of money. The show's the same every day in terms of the format, but it's different because you've got a different chaser, different contestants who are all fantastic. The contestant team do an incredible job finding our teams. Um, all the chasers have got these great diverse personalities. We've got the best host in the business, in my opinion. We've got Bradley Walsh, who keeps the show running with I don't know how he manages to make it look so easy, because that's one of the toughest jobs out there. And the fact is, it's on at the same time every day, and it's something that toddlers can watch with great grandparents. Everybody's getting something out of this show. And I think that's what's made it a hit to begin with. And we've gone from strength to strength because it's got a familiarity but an excitement, and it's something that we can all enjoy together, whoever we are, wherever we are in the country. Even during times when we couldn't be in the same room, people were watching this show at the same time every day in the WhatsApp group saying, "Oh, I bet you got that one wrong." And I think that is what is keeping the chase part of people's daily routine, long after people are having to schlep home from work and then put it on, maybe on Plus One or on the Hub. They're still keeping it as part of their routine, and long may it continue. I think we are booking the trend against streaming, in that it's part of a routine. And as part of my routine, I'll be honest, I switch on at 5 o'clock every day. It marks a certain place to have a cup of tea and test myself.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, congratulations on the show and congratulations on all of your many other projects as well. It's so great to kind of see you going out on tour, but then also know that you will also be on our TV screens. So yeah, thank you for chatting. This has been really enjoyable. And good luck with everything.